Shalom Aleichem, everyone. We're continuing Hachzek's learning of the Pele Yoetz, day number 232, beginning a new chapter, a very important chapter, called Hisayrus, Inspiration, how to live inspired in the world of Yiddishkeit, in learning, in davening, in mitzvahs, in chesed, in midas, tikkun midas. Let's see what he has to say. Hisayrus hu klal gadol b'Torah, inspiration, and living a life of inspiration is a major principle in the Torah. V'zeh kol ha'adam, and this is really what a person is all about. She'yitein leiv li'isayra, a person must place their heart and they must think to be misayra, to inspire themselves. Li'yira u'li'ava, in order to fear Hashem, u'li'ava, and to love Him. U'lekayim kol davar tov k'tikunoi, and to fulfill every good thing like it says. Kedas ma'alasa, is to do it in the right way, according to halacha, according to the Torah. V'lim sheich yodam yasa is kol ra, and when you're misayra, when you're ma'ayra yourself, when you inspire yourself, you'll pull your hand away from doing all terrible and bad things, averas and the like. But what could a person do if there's nothing that inspires them? You unfortunately are plagued by the malady of our generation, where there is no oomph, there's no excitement, and there's no enthusiasm, there's no inspiration. In davening, it's the same Shmoneh Esrei every single day, the same tefillin every single day, the same Shabbos every single week, the same matzah that I ate 7-8 days of Pesach. It's the same Sfira Sa'omer counting every single night, and so on and so forth, and brachas, and halachas, and mitzvahs, you name it. So what does a person do if he's bored by the mitzvahs? What does a person do if they don't feel any internal excitement and joy when they engage in the beauty of tefillah, of prayer, a mincha in the middle of the day? What a schus. What if a person doesn't feel that way? What if we're the generation that's lacking his orders? I don't have any inspiration. What does a person do? Says the Pele Yoetz, the Yetzirah, it shrouds the person in tardema, in a very deep sleep. A person is slumbering through their life as a frum Jew, slumbering through Shachris, slumbering through Shabbos, slumbering through Yom Tov, slumbering through Chesed, slumbering through the Shir. I'm in tardema. Tardema is like the deepest sleep that a person could be in. And the Yetzirah doesn't allow the person to be misayir, to be inspired. However, to everything there's a takana, you could fix it. And with great strategies, you will make the milchama, the battle against the Yetzirah. The Yetzirah, the less limidka the Yetzirah, because when the Yetzirah is taking control, when he's in the driver's seat, so then a person cannot even think about the Yetzirah, the good inclination. And therefore you take the bull by the horn, so to speak, bring the Yetzirah, the good, positive inclination, bring that forward, and therefore you will preempt the Yetzirah. God, there, take a look. What I said, basically, what I said in the chapter of God there, when we had to make fences around ourselves, that was also a very important chapter. You can go back and review it if you would like. He said a few things over there. One thing he lists over here is you should write down ideas that will inspire you, and then you should read it when you need that inspiration. Or you should learn svarim that are speaking about that particular mitzvah that you're about to do, or that chesed you're about to get involved with. And if it's something that you do every day, like davening, you should read it every single day. Every day you have a sefer on tefillah, you have a sefer on limud Torah, on learning Torah, you have a sefer on how to make brachas with more kavanah, maybe just a bracha asher yotza when you leave the restroom. What an amazing, fascinating bracha it is. Imagine if you would learn every day a few words about the magnificence of that bracha, what it really means, the intent, how you can connect to Hashem. So then you'll be misayrir. You could elevate yourself and inspire yourself in those ways. And if it's a mitzvah that is only done once in a while, for example, Shabbos once a week, Pesach once a year, Shavuos is on the way once a year, Sfiras Omer right now, even though 49 days, but nevertheless, only once a year, it's Mizman Lizman. Yikra Yisraelus Samach Lizmanoi, you should read inspiring words close to the time that you're going to perform that mitzvah. And when you do something at the right time, how good it is. You will learn about Shabbos, you'll learn about these other things that we mentioned, and then when you will perform that mitzvah, it'll be so geshmak, because you'll be misayra, you'll be inspired. A person is good if he teaches over to his children and the people in his home, his oirus, hatzarech l'kol davar v'davar b'itoy, to inspire them for every mitzvah that comes at the right time. Because when a person expounds and explains these mitzvahs in the proper way, limudi will askilom ma mitzvah, he teaches and enlightens them what this mitzvah is, how to do it, what's the reason why we have such a mitzvah. So too, if you see a certain avera that your house is weakened, point it out. How severe it is, what we can do to stay away. We're having a real problem over here. Shabbos afternoon, when we sit down for the lunch suda, nobody can stop speaking Lashon Hara. Lashon Hara is a terrible thing. And then you'll be misayra. You tell some spooky stories about what happens to people that say Lashon Hara. You tell over some Maimari Chazal, like the Chavetz Chaim brings down in Shmiras HaLashon over there, that as he writes in Agdam, will make your hair stand on end. And then you speak about the halachas and you inspire the mishpacha to elevate the level of the conversation by the Shabbos table. You can do that. So the person keep adding and inspiring himself more and more and more. He should think about these things constantly in his heart. As he's coming and going, like it says in Shas, I learned a lot from my Rebbeim. However, I learned the most from my students. And the Pele Yoetz is understanding over here that when you are preparing yourself to teach over the words of his oirus, of inspiration to others, so you will prepare it in a way that is going to be heard well by them. So you'll refine the ideas. You'll get it crystal clear, and you'll be able to give it over in the proper way. And therefore, even though they didn't teach you, but you prepared in order to teach them, so you had them in mind. So therefore, you learn from your students as well. And then he says something very valuable and important. It's an idea that the Ramchal speaks about in Mesilas Yesharim as well, and he uses it over here for the case of his urus of inspiration. It's very good for a person. He should do physical actions of his urus of inspiration. To show great levels of love of Hashem, the year and the fear of Hashem, and Simcha Rabbi, tremendous Simcha that he has. Similarly, all the good traits in Avodas Hashem, you can do physical actions to show that you are nisayr, that you are inspired. Whatever needs to be done, when it has to be done, do it. Then you'll be able to recognize on his face, the way that his body moves, meaning that you can do big things. You can be dominating, please Hashem. Now maybe you don't feel it that day. Maybe you don't feel like, please Hashem. But you need to, because you want to pour out your heart to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So he's saying, so lift up your hands, or shake a little bit harder, or squint your brow more than you were doing before. You don't feel it. It doesn't matter, says the Pele Yoetz, because if you can use outer actions to awaken the real hisaris, the real inspiration that's on the inside. Now that's called the lek lamechash lalag hamaligim, as long as you're not concerned that people are going to start making fun of you for the way in which you are outwardly practicing your avodas Hashem, or that you're going to look like a big Baal Gaiva, you think you're so chashem, you can just, please, you look like one of the big tzaddikim, please Hashem. Okay, as long as they're not going to take you as an arrogant fellow, you can do a koyasev and koyasev. You should do, and even add more and more to your outwardly exterior of avodas Hashem. Because the physical inspiration that a person does for themselves, it will be awaken, and it will cause to bring about an inner awakening and inspiration inside of yourself. Chitzonius is ma'areres as a panimius. The outward actions can have an influence on the inside, and if you act in a way of inspiration, you will be able to connect with your panimius, who you really are, the inside, the neshama of the person, and be ma'ire and awaken and elevate and inspire that as well. All the best.